Hello everybody, welcome to TCOM 408. I'm your professor, Dr. Mike Gerhard. In this video, I want to explain the concept of the moral imperative and try to apply it to media companies. What's a moral imperative? A moral imperative, or a categorical imperative, occurs when a person feels really compelled to act on some issue because they feel it's the right thing to do. A moral imperative is this urge to do the right thing. Now, do you think that the media companies have any of these moral obligations or imperatives to society, to the public? We do know that the media are important institutions. They have a deep and powerful reach into the fabric of society, and they're given special protection by the First Amendment. So, do you think the media have any specific moral obligations? What specific obligations or duties or responsibilities do the media have? Can you identify any duties? I've been thinking about this for many years, folks, and there really aren't too many absolute moral imperatives in the media world as far as I'm concerned. However, I can identify a handful, 7 of them to be exact, 7 moral obligations for media companies. Now, a caveat, you don't have to agree with my opinions here. Okay? You know, and I want you to know I have not ranked these in order of importance. Okay? You have to figure out what you feel the obligations and duties are, and then come up with your own priority scheme. All right. First, let me talk about an obligation of media companies, and that's simply to tell the truth. Here I'm thinking primarily about the worlds of news and advertising, but in both of those areas, it's really important to tell the truth. Now, we know the truth is elusive. It's hard for journalists to pin down the truth, and many stories are biased. And advertising, of course, much of it is deceptive. But I think the moral imperative is to get at the truth. Moral imperative number 2, to support and celebrate all members in society, all hues of the social spectrum. Here I'm talking about diversity and inclusion and pluralism. I feel it is so important that the media companies have diversity, and not only in the workplace, but also in the content which they produce. Moral imperative number 3, protect the children. You know, you can never go wrong, I think, supporting any of these obligations. Protecting children, they're vulnerable, okay? And they deserve extra protection. Now, the primary way that we do that is through the ratings system. But there are other ways to try and keep children safe online and in the real world. We need to protect the children. Obligation number 4, I think the media companies all have an obligation to help protect the environment and to guarantee that we have sustainability. And a company can make a big difference in promoting environmental protection. It can recycle and conserve energy and reduce its carbon footprint and try to promote sound environmental practices and stewardship. Moral imperative number 5 for a media company and a tech company is to protect data privacy. I think that this is a huge moral imperative, and I feel bad when companies get hacked. All right, but their moral obligation is to do their best to protect that data and not to share it, with third parties in an unauthorized fashion, or allow the system to be easily hacked. But it's very important to do this. Okay, the next moral imperative is pretty general, but it's just to engage in good, sound, ethical business practices. It's so important that all businesses engage in ethical business practices. You know, this means you don't operate sweatshops, for example, or exploit your workers, or engage in uncompetitive and unfair business or labor practices. It means basically that you try to operate an honest, ethical business that has integrity. All right, the final moral obligation, I think, for media companies has to do with the idea of democracy and the First Amendment. Now, you don't have to agree with me, but I think it is an important obligation for the media to fight to protect free speech and the First Amendment and to promote democracy, small d, democratic principles. All right, you may have other moral obligations and duties in mind. If you do, please bring them to class and share them with us. I think I've covered some pretty important issues, and I'd be fascinated to know whether you agree or disagree with some of my opinions in this lecture. Anyway, let me recap by summarizing what I think are 7 really important moral imperatives as they apply to the media world. First, media companies should tell the truth in news and advertising. They should promote inclusion, diversity, and pluralism. They should always fight to protect children and embrace and endorse the rating system. They should promote environmental protection and sustainability and green ideas. They should obviously work hard to protect consumer data privacy. All media companies should engage in ethical business practices, and, in my humble opinion, they should all try to support democracy and the First Amendment. So that's my take on the moral imperatives that face the media companies in the 21st century. I'll be really interested to know what you think about these various moral imperatives and if you think that they're important duties. But for now, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I will see you very soon. So long.